Hey there, guys, Alex here from SPP, and today I'm joined by my colleague Dion,
Hi everyone.
as well as Mark from Contentellect.
Hi.
And he's going to be talking to us about his business today.
Hey Mark, thanks so much for joining this case study video. I wanted to ask you how you started with Contentellect and why you decided to take over a stalling content marketing agency. As far as I know, you were like a co-founder, but were mostly passively invested in the company, but then decided to take more of an active role.
So Contentellect, we launched it in 2018. I launched it with a school friend of mine. And as you correctly said, I was involved as a passive investor, co-founder, but not heavily involved in the business from the get-go, and more of an advisory role. And my co-founder, also called Mark, ran the company for the first 3 years. And then COVID happened, and my larger business is a travel business, and so that obviously took a major hit. And so at the time, I was looking at alternative things to set up. I'd set up a virtual assistant business during the beginnings of COVID, which was doing quite nicely. And Mark was looking to potentially exit Contentellect, so we were looking to sell. And I had some spare cash, so I decided, yeah, maybe a good challenge for me to take over the reins and try scale Contentellect alongside Tasket. So yeah, that's the reason why I decided to enter the foray of managing an agency.
Well, to follow up on that, I wanted to ask, how did you focus on a target for for your desired revenue by December of 2022?
Yeah, so the company had grown organically from launch to about 20,000 in revenue a month. We had a nice cohort of clients, most of them on monthly retainers, but we weren't growing. When I took things over, we were just kind of flatlined. And I had an option of either just taking it over and just managing what we had, or actually going for something a little bit bigger. And the 80K target is really just one that is arbitrary, but tied to reaching 1 million in revenue, essentially, because around 85,000 a month is a million turnover annually. So it's an arbitrary target, but a stretch target, one that I thought was realistic. I gave myself 18 to 24 months to get there. And so, yeah, that's how we settled on the 80,000 a month number. Hopefully it's bigger. I don't know, but we're heading in the right direction.
Awesome. Following up on that, I wanted to ask, before you took over the company, what kind of tools were you using for the content creation and to manage everything? And are you using something new just to optimize everything and make it more streamlined and easier to manage from your perspective, but also for the client?
Yeah, I mean, our tech stack is yeah, fairly basic, but we use quite a few tools. So from the content writing perspective, we use Phrase, which is an AI software that helps us generate content briefs, quite sophisticated content briefs. We use Surfer SEO for optimizing content. We manage the entire business, all our documents and the tracking of any orders with Google Suite, mainly Google Sheets and Google Docs. All articles are written in Google Docs, which allows us to collaborate with clients for revisions or any input that the client wants to put in into an article. Yeah, I mean, those are the main tools. Obviously, from the SEO perspective, we use Ahrefs and Majestic. We also use a little bit of SEMrush. And then we've got an in-house keyword research tool that we use called Key Clusters, which helps us put together content briefs, not content briefs, content strategies, and effectively do keyword grouping for a client to figure out exactly what keywords we want to target. I think that's roughly it in terms of the tech stack.
I'm wondering how you secure new clients or especially large clients. Do you do like targeted outreach or do you create blog posts and find them organically instead?
Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate in terms of client acquisition. In the early days, we were using demand response cold emailing, and we were targeting specifically software companies who wanted their blogs managed and kind of wanted a white hat service of managing their blog. And over time, we've expanded that. Outside of cold email, we get a lot of referral. So if we do good work with one client, they tell their their friends and so on, and people come in and use us. We've started ranking quite well, so we get a lot of inbound as well for organic. We do very little social, but that sometimes drives business. We don't do any paid yet. And then, a big move over the last 18 months, well, not 18 months, over the last 12 months is focusing on targeting agencies themselves, right? So they farm work out to us and we effectively white label content or links for them. So that has been very, very popular and useful, the good thing with that is we don't have to sell heavily, because once you win an agency, they effectively become your sales arm and just farm the work out to us.
I'm wondering in a pool of in a large pool of content marketing agencies, how were you able to stand out and set yourself apart?
Yeah, I mean the space is incredibly crowded. At the one end of the market, there's freelancers that you could engage on platforms like Fiverr and Upwork, all the way through to agencies like ourselves. There's specialist content writing agencies as well. There's many of those. So standing out is a challenge. And a lot of people try to differentiate on price, but that tends to be a race to the bottom. So we haven't focused heavily on differentiating on price, although we're very affordable, I think. We focus on quality and a very personal experience with the client. So every single client gets to work not just with a writer, but they have an account manager, and that account manager gets to learn about their business, the tone of voice that they like on their blog, learn about their products or services, and then they also they create the brief, they do all of the proofreading and editing, and if the client wants us to publish, they do all the publishing as well. So it's effectively like an in-house content person, but they're outsourced. So I think that's a major differentiator, and not just in terms of the client experience, but also the content that comes out the back end tends to be better than your average content service. I think that's our major differentiator and why people work with us. And it's the thing that we focus on.
Now, my next question is mostly to the writers you are employing, because I noticed they are all from South Africa. So I was wondering who had the idea to hire specifically South African writers, and how is it working out for you?
So I'm originally from South Africa, from Cape Town. And so prior to launching Contentellect, I had a number of content websites, affiliate marketing websites, and I've always outsourced to South Africa. So most people used to outsource to the Philippines for writers if they wanted cheap content. But the trouble there is, although the content's good, you're not getting a native English speaker. And with South Africa, most people are native English speakers, or certainly everyone that we employ. And many of them are tertiary educated as well, so they've got reasonable qualifications and experience in life, and then you've also got the geo arbitrage opportunity, because South Africa currently to a dollar it's 15 rand to one, so you can get very good value for money versus outsourcing, say, to a UK writer or US writer, but you can get the same or better quality. So South Africa has always just been a great market for me. And so when we launched Contentellect, it was just natural to build the team out of South Africa. So everyone that is employed at Contentellect and all of our freelancers are actually based in South Africa.
Moving on to our next question, I'm wondering what kind of obstacles were you facing that made you want to find a client portal, and how did you end up coming across SPP?
Not quite sure how I found SPP, to be honest. I'm just trying to think. I think I'd seen SPP on a competitor's website, and I just kind of checked it out. And I started using SPP with the agency, the virtual assistance agency I launched in 2020, and I was like blown away with the how slick it is and how easy it is to get set up as a user, and then just how good the client experience is. I think at the time I messaged one of you or someone in your team just saying this is like revolutionized the checkout experience for us. But I didn't have it at Contentellect at the time. We were using a custom built checkout, and we were integrated with Braintree for payments. And so when I took over Contentellect, I knew I wanted to implement SPP as the solution, but it did take us a few months to get there because we had to kind of come off this legacy system and switch onto SPP. But yeah, I'm a huge advocate of your software. I think it's a brilliant yeah, it's a brilliant software for an agency or a productized service like ourselves.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the nice words. We like it that you like SPP, and yeah, it's pretty interesting that you came across that from a competitor using SPP, because then you really realize how interesting it is also from the client perspective, because sometimes agencies come to us, but they only see like the screenshots on our website and they only see like the admin view, but they don't realize how interesting and easy it is also for clients to check out and just manage their orders.
Yeah, I think that the important thing for me was um, the client experience. I wanted that to be as streamlined as possible. And so, using SPP as a customer on another agency website, I got to experience it. I was like, okay, this is very slick. Branding was very important so that it all felt like I wasn't on like a third party platform. And I think you guys have nailed that. And yeah, and then just the ease of implementation. So for example, on our legacy system, if I wanted to like launch a new product or like create a variation on the checkout and so on, I had to go speak to our developers, and then we had to like spec this thing out, and it just took weeks, sometimes months, to implement a relatively small change. Whereas SPP, like yesterday, I was like, okay, we're going to launch this new service, and I can just do everything myself. It's drag and drop. It's just very, very user friendly. So yeah, I'm a big fan, as I said.
Awesome. Following up on that, I was wondering, how are you handling the orders inside SPP? Do you have any cool flows that you can share with our audience? And do you have any automation set up for making your life easier inside the portal, maybe with other tools?
Yeah, currently we actually don't do order management inside SPP, but it is on the agenda. So currently we're just using SPP for a streamlined checkout process, and our head of content and head of outreach have access into SPP, and they are literally just managing the status of an order. But we're still not engaging with customers inside SPP, although a lot of customers just message us on the order form, and feel natural. It feels natural for them to kind of work inside SPP. We just haven't migrated the whole team into SPP, and I'm not certain we will. Just because the nature of our business, we've got like a fairly sophisticated order management system outside. And I guess it's something that over time I'll probably be emailing you guys to ask, are there like Zapier connections where we can like connect to Google Sheets and kind of make things more automated? But currently, we're literally just using it as a order process, a checkout processing system, and a way for me to kind of manage the checkout process, but not manage the order so much.
We do actually have an integration with Zapier that would allow you to set up different kinds of automations between SPP and other applications as per your needs. So you could use that to set up Google Worksheets or any kind of other application that would help automate your work.
I'm a big fan of like technology solving issues around automation. There's lots of stuff that we could automate away. But at our scale, because we've grown so fast, we've gone from like 20K. Last month we did 80K. So we've effectively 4x'd in the last 8 to 12 months. It has just been bananas, like growing a team, growing the systems to cope with that much business. And our current order management system is like it's creaking. So I know it's something that we have to look at. And certainly if we wanted to go from like, you know, small seven figures, a million to let's say 5 million, we would probably need to build something much more sophisticated to cope with that. Because the big thing is not just tracking and executing an order, but it's also paying invoices for writers or all of our freelancers, and that all needs to tie back to an order. So yeah, it's a fairly sophisticated piece of technology, and I'm not sure SBP it could play a role in that process, but I kind of feel we would need to build something relatively bespoke that maybe spoke to SBP via Zapier or an API connection or something like that.
Right. I was wondering for my next question, how the process of merging your VA services into your content writing services went. Was it a difficult process, or how did that go?
That was actually pretty easy and quite smooth. So the great thing about Contentellect and our previous VA service was called Tasket, is I had a great person in each of those companies, and so all I did was merged the customers and merged the people together first, and that was fairly straightforward. And then the big thing was clarifying our proposition, because what we were doing in the VA side of the business was more than we did content, but we were also doing links, and we were doing social media management and various other digital marketing tasks. And so it was, and then Contentellect was very much just a content writing service. And so what I wanted to make sure was that when we brought them together, that the proposition was clear. And I think we've kind of nailed the proposition. It's taken us a few months to, we kept on doing a little bit of VA stuff and a little bit of social media, but we've dropped those two things now, and we're just focusing on content and links or outreach at Contentellect. And that process took a little bit longer, but there wasn't like any challenges around cultural fits or anything like that, because the way that the two companies were managed is very similar. It was actually it was fairly quick. It took like 6 weeks, and we were fully integrated with the services and the clients, and everything moved across.
Awesome. That's pretty interesting. I'm wondering, how did you make the decision to merge two companies into one? Because usually I see agencies splitting a company into multiple branches instead to more easily manage them. Where did you see the benefit of merging them instead?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't understand why agencies split unless it's like a proposition where you're trying to maybe target a different audience and you don't want to cannibalize your existing audience. So, for example, with Contentellect, I do think a lot of people who come to us are expecting a consultancy experience, like an SEO consultancy experience. And what we provide is a very targeted tactical content writing and link building productized service. And we don't bend it to our clients' requirements. So in that way, yeah, you could split out another agency and be much more consultative and maybe charge much bigger figures because you're offering a consulting experience. So I understand why agencies would split like that, but with Tasked and Contentellect, both of them were productized, and it just seemed like double the work to manage two brands, to everything. And yeah, so just putting everything under one umbrella just simplified things. And it's definitely helped us go faster, I would think. I mean, if I was managing both and jumping into both companies, unless the proposition was completely different, I think that would be very difficult.
All right, thank you so much for that answer, Mark. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we hop off?
I think the tool that you guys have built is fantastic. We're very happy with it. I am an evangelist, which I yeah, is what you want as a customer. I think it solves all the problems that we have, and it's very reasonably priced. I don't have much more to add, really.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining in and listening to this interview. Thank you so much, Mark, also for joining us. It was really awesome talking to you, and we truly appreciate your time. I hope you have an awesome day.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mark. Have a good one.
Cheers, guys.